Hi, I'm Selina.
And I'm Bel, and together
We are the Fashion Suite podcast.
Let's discover how to make fashion fun, easy, and sustainable.
So you can look great and even feel better about your style choices.
Hello, my fashionistas! Welcome to the very first episode of the Fashion Suite podcast, where we'll dive into the world of fashion together with my dear co-host Selina. How are you, darling?
Hi, guys. I'm so excited to be here. You have to know that Belle and I are working in fashion, and we're so excited and passionate about it. But we also know all the struggles and difficulties, right, Belle? Not only as consumers, but also as business owners.
Yes, exactly. We decided to open up our talks so you can join us and we can all learn together here. In this podcast, we will be talking about different aspects of fashion, from specific things, from materials, composition, sizing. By the way, we have amazing guests that will join us in the next episodes. And the main idea of this is how to make the most of your wardrobe, to be informed, responsible of your purchases, but enjoying it. Make the best out of this, because what we wear every day says so much about ourselves, right, Selina? I use fashion as my way to express myself, and as time goes by, I take this more seriously, you know? But what about you? Please share with us about yourself, how you started in the fashion business, everything.
So I'm from Austria, Vienna, and I kind of grew up within fashion as my mom is a fashion business owner and I grew up with it. But I also remember when I was like 8 years old, my biggest wish was to get my own sewing machine. And I still remember when I had to go to a different country to get all the materials and then sewing my first dress. Of course, back then I had help, because I couldn't do it by myself, but I still remember it. And ever since, fashion became part of myself. And I also attended fashion school where I completed my A levels. And I also graduated in sewing a jacket, for example. And after that, I was working for an Italian designers. And ever since, I was working with my mom to get in the business, which also gave me the experience, and I'm so grateful for it, that I've working together with real designers from Italy, Spain, or French. And I'm so grateful that I could experience real craftsmanship, because nowadays I've seen barely people have experienced it. And I know exactly what's the difference between highly or poorly well made clothing. And this is why I'm here for. And this is why I love talking about with Belle about fashion, because we both have experienced it. And we love to talk about it. And this is what I'm here
Yes.
for.
Yes, it's funny because when with Selena we started working together, then we met up with some drinks, and we always end up talking about fashion and work. But who would have thought we would be here doing a podcast and sharing our conversations with the world, Selena?
I wouldn't have
Crazy.
expected that. This was not the plan in the beginning. We just loved talking about it and meeting up and talking about it because we could understand each other, because we had working in the same industry.
Exactly. So, yeah, for those who don't know me yet, I am Belle, and I'm a fashion blogger with a twist, I like to say. My main goal is to show you the versatility of fashion pieces. If you like something, you should wear it as much as you want, play around with it, try new combinations as well. Or if you get really stuck, give me a call and I will help you out. But yes, I have been working in the sustainable fashion industry for the last couple of years, and it has been quite the journey. I come from a small town in Buenos Aires, Argentina. 3 years ago, I moved to Vienna with a lot of dreams in my backup, having no idea that I would start making them come true right away. Things moved unexpectedly. And I have traveled the world attending fashion weeks and trade shows representing a sustainable footwear brand. And I have been participating in seminars on sustainable innovations. I have hunted materials and suppliers for new collections, getting an insider's view of how the industry works. Now, I like to say, like, I could see the real life of my dreams, because one thing is what you think that is, and then the reality, which I learned a lot, and it was amazing. What can I say? But before all that, it's very interesting because I was kind of completely the opposite. I had no knowledge at all about sustainability in fashion. I love fashion, I love trends. I used to travel a lot to Europe because I have family here in Spain as well. And I was buying a lot of clothing, trendy pieces. The prices were better in comparison. But everything changed during my last year studying journalism and mass communication. I was working on a radio program column, and naturally I chose to focus on fashion. But fashion what? No? Fashion history, trends, celebrities. And I got curious about sustainable fashion, no? Why it exists, why it's so crucial, why we should all be talking about it. And when I started diving into the facts and numbers, trying to wrap my head around what this really means, sustainable fashion, it was a real wake-up call. The more I learned, the more I realized that my approach to fashion had to change. Not only the way I was wearing and the brands I was wearing, but my blog, my communication overall. So that was the turning point 5 years ago, and I haven't looked back since. And now I also help others make more conscious choices, trying to do a balance. I have created capsule wardrobe guides, which we will dive into this concept in a future episode because it's super interesting how with your own basics that adapt on your lifestyle, on your style, you can have hundreds of ways to wear it, literally. But one thing I have noticed while working with my clients is this recurring theme of having the closet full of clothing, but having the feeling of nothing to wear. Right, Selina?
I
Like
know the
it
feeling
also,
exactly.
yeah, it also happens to us that we have a lot of information and we know how this works. And also this anxiety, this urge to constantly get something new. You are scrolling on social media, you catch up a new trend. But here's the thing. Fashion shouldn't be about filling a gap or following trends, buying for the sake of buying, emotional shopping. It's about expressing who you are and enjoying that, feeling good and unstoppable in what you're wearing. And yes, it can be done sustainably and with intention, consciousness. And that's what we are going to explore in this podcast. How can we make fashion fun, easy, and sustainable?
Let's talk about the fashion landscape. And just to be clear, it's a bit complex. You just have to think back in the days when we talk about the 50s, the 60s, or the 70s. You will always have a style in your mind, which might be colors, patterns, style, but you always will have something in your mind. Nowadays, we have brands which produces 52 collections each year, which is 1 week, one collection. And just to have the comparison between how it was and how it is nowadays. And this is called fast fashion. And fast fashion is focusing on producing clothing quickly and cheaply so that the consumers are always able to buy new trends. And this is also what companies are teaching us.
Yeah, it's crazy. And also, Selena, let me add something here because this fast fashion term is evolving to ultra fast fashion. There are big Chinese e-commerce, which we all know who are they, that are introducing new styles on their e-commerce, on their platforms, thousands of styles each day. How
It's amazing.
crazy is this? This is in the
Horrible.
last couple of years.
You also have to think
crazy.
about fast fashion exists now for 20 years, like the model. And
Yeah.
your ultra fast fashion is quite new, I guess.
Yeah. Yes. 2, 3 years ago, more or less. But we are talking about thousands of new styles every day. How can we deal with this?
Yes. And you also have to think about that, like all the companies with the 52 collections and more, they won't restock all the models, which also gives us as customers the urgent to buy all the new things, which leads to like impulsive purchases and which also leads to full wardrobes where we don't know what we're going to wear. And but also because we just talked about like these brands or these Chinese suppliers, we also have to think about like brands which are more premium or even luxury, because fast fashion not only is a model from Chinese suppliers, it's the thing producing clothing very quickly and as cheap as possible. Of course, you can choose between materials, it's about the value about it, but still, we also have premium brands which produces a lot of collections and which also gives us the push to buy more. And now, because we're so used to it, we always buy new styles, new dresses, new blouses, but we won't wear it as much as we would have done back in the days, as I said before. Right, Belle? Or what's your
Yeah.
experience on that?
Yeah, this I was remembering when I have been 4 times in the biggest fashion trade show in Europe, in Amsterdam. For me, it's my favorite one because people are so stylish there. But I could see in real life this that you are exactly saying. You can see very stylish people wearing high-end brands, but they were all first looking like the same, wearing the same teddy coat or the same colorful suit because it depends on each season. Firstly, they were all wearing the same. Of course, I liked them because they were combining with accessories, super. You could tell their personal style, but you could tell a pattern. And every
Mm-hmm.
4 months that I was there, these trade shows happen every 4 or 5 months, I could see completely different picture. If you do a picture of everyone there, it was completely different. And I was feeling so anxious when I was there because I wanted to have that teddy bear coat or a nice colorful blazer to combine with other colors. And the last time, it was earlier this year, I could tell in person, like, no, wait, Belle, this is just an effect
Yeah.
of the trends. But I was surprised that it happens in even from people in the industry, that they know how it is, no? And that they
Yes.
consume high-end brands, and maybe you can do an investment on a piece of clothing. But you have to be very sure about this and if it represents you and if you will still wear it over the time, because for some people it's not so accessible.
Yes. Especially, I think makes the difference. If you're going to decide on buying a piece of clothing, might it be the teddy bear coat, which you mentioned before, but also like it's your choice and your decision about how you want to deal with the clothing. If you're going to buy something and you will wear it for the next 10 years, it's fine. But it's just like that we constantly have the urge made through social media, advertisement, and all the brands which produces non-stop new collections, which leads to us that we always want to be on the latest trend. We want to be part of it. We want to be as fashionable, as trendy. We want to be part of it. And that's what we
Yeah.
love about fashion, because it also gives us like the accessibility. Like, you have to be on the run all the time. But this is
Yes.
exactly the wrong way to go. And
Mm-hmm.
this makes a difference. If you're going to decide, hey, I want to buy this teddy coat and I'm going to wear it for the next 10 years, okay, fine. It's just like the difference between buying constantly new things instead of thinking about how long or how you're going to wear it or does it match your wardrobe. And this is where slow fashion starts, I would say. And I have a really nice quote from one of my customers. It's years ago, but I still remember it. She said once to me, I'm too poor to buy cheap. She's referring to you rather invest and think about a piece
Yeah.
and you're going to wear it as it might be more high quality and you're going to wear it longer than just buying all the time new things, which might be cheaper in the beginning, but in the end costs more.
Selina, do you know the average lifetime of the clothing in our wardrobes?
Actually, I'm not sure, but I would assume not as long. Maybe one
Exactly.
year, something like
Yeah,
this.
from 1 to 3 years. Exactly. So, what your client said is exactly that, because next year you will have to buy more t-shirts, for example, or more sweaters for the next winter. I also have some very nice pieces, but if you get them with low quality materials from cheap brands, it will not last you for next winter, for example.
No.
So if you make the maths, your client is right. You will invest in a better quality piece, but it will last you at least 5, 6, 7 years, and then you can even upcycle it and make it look completely different if you get bored of it. There are so many options to do with our own clothes, but we get so limited in just getting new ones. And that's actually a
Yes.
fact. We are buying more clothes than ever, 400% more than we did 20 years ago, just before this fast fashion business model started. It's crazy. And I also see slow fashion as the natural response to fast fashion, no? Like a solution to make things better for the environment and the people. But what exactly does that mean? Well, slow fashion is all about designing, producing, and consuming clothes in a way that minimizes the environmental impact. This means garments are made ethically under fair working conditions, because the fashion industry is one of the biggest industries of the world. It employs millions and millions, like 40 million people around the globe, but only 2% of them receives a proper salary and proper working conditions. So when you are supporting a sustainable fashion brand, for example, you know you're supporting good, what should be the normal working conditions. Yeah. So it's not only about the environment, but also the society, no?
Yes, totally. Especially I have to think, because I'm working a lot with designers around Europe, let's say it like this. I know what labor costs and I know how much work it is. Like, and then seeing ready-to-wear dresses or jackets to a price I can't even believe, because normally the garment even would be more expensive without the work. So, yes, okay. This is like really intense to say it like this, because you have to imagine like materials are very expensive. And just like have it, as you said before, with slow fashion as a normal response. Because if you know a bit more and if you have more information, and as we also said once or talking all the time, information is power. Because if you're aware about all these factors, you might, like, your natural solution will be slow fashion, or just like to rethink about fashion and consumption.
Yeah. No, and also I would like to mention that this high consumption leads to an enormous amount of waste. I read in an UN report that every single second, the equivalent of one garbage truck full of textiles is either burned or thrown into a landfill. And this means people discarding their clothes because maybe it's broken or it doesn't fit and they don't know what to do, or even brands that are throwing away their old collections because they can't sell it anymore. It's already old. In 3-4 months, that collection is already old. I want to invite our listeners to Google Atacama Desert. It's close by Argentina, in Chile, and you can tell a whole amount of piles and piles of clothing with labels on it from very well-known brands. And it's very impactful, very impactful. For me, it was amazing because it was right next to my country. I know that there is one in Africa, but this was like, okay, I have 1 hour flight away to see this.
Yeah, it's a problem which every one of us impacts, because we have all these, as you mentioned, like the deserts in Africa or in Chile. I think they're everywhere. Especially also, you can find them in the sea with all the microplastic, which also comes from clothing and everywhere, but has a huge impact of all of us.
Oof. Once I read that every time you wash your clothes, because there's the thing of materials that we will be talking specifically about in another episode, but there are synthetic materials that they are made of plastic. You know about a lot of this, Selina.
Yes.
But when you wash these clothes, like acrylic, polyester, no? What else?
You have polyamide, polyester, acryl, nylon,
Exactly.
and this is pure plastic. Just to have this in your mind. We're not talking about natural fiber, we're talking about synthetic fibers.
And when you wash the clothes made of this material, you are unconsciously liberating microplastics to the ocean. As you dig in, it's even worse.
It's getting worse and worse and worse. Every time you get out new factors, it's getting worse.
Sorry, I promise I will stop for today.
Yeah. No, but this is why we wanted to talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and don't get us wrong. This doesn't mean you can't follow trends or you can't buy new clothing. It's just being conscious about your own purchases and what you're wearing, what you have.
Just to have it in your mind, to have all the informations, and that you can be aware of it. And then you can make conscious decisions on purchases instead of just being guided and leaded to buy all the new things. And this is what we're here for. And that's why we wanted to give you all the information we have. Even they're worse at sometimes, or like horrible. And we are aware of that. That's what we also said. Like, we love fashion, we are passionate about it, but we also know the struggles and the difficulties within this industry. And we just, I think, what we said, we want to guide you through, give you all the informations, because we don't want to be the person like saying, oh, don't do this and don't do that. No, that's not what we're here for. We just want to give you all the informations, and we want you to be part with us together in the fashion industry. So just to summarize it all for you, So fast fashion is a model which exists for over 20 years now. And it's getting more and more and more as we producing more every day. Fast fashion is meant to be cheaper and quicker produced, which leads to lower quality, which leads that we are all consume more and more because we're used to everyday new trends, new created seasons, which weren't there before back in the days, in comparison to slow fashion, right?
Exactly. Slow fashion is a response to fast fashion, a solution to make things better for the environment. It's from the design to producing and consuming the clothing in a way that is better for the environment and the society. The working conditions, using natural fabrics, organic, without harming chemicals. So this will be good for your skin as well. Even it has more benefits for the people that wear it. And of course, we share a lot of more of these tips and our experience on our Instagram. So feel free to check out at Bel Romano and at selina.simon with double O. And you can also write to us any questions, comments, or experiences in our email address, office@thefashionsuitepodcast.com. Anyway, we will leave in the description of the episode all these addresses so you can find us better.
And you also will find a Google form where you can type in your email address and we will send you a fact sheet about fast fashion versus slow fashion and all the information to know so that you be informed and fully aware about your next choices.
Don't forget to follow the Fashion Suite podcast on Spotify so you never miss an episode, and mark your calendars because the next episode drops on September 19th, where we will dive deeper into the true cost of fashion. Thank you for your support, and we can't wait to see you in the next episode of the Fashion Suite podcast.
Bye!
Bye!